What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Thrifty Business with Jay and A. I'm your one host, Vegas Jay.
And I'm your other host, Philly Nay.
In the dark. Nadine's light just burned out, so if you think she's a little dark tonight, yes, she is. But can't do nothing about that now. And hey, we got an extra special guest tonight. It is Eric Nash from Stamps.com. How are you, Eric?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on tonight.
Thanks for coming on. Let's get, before we say goodbye to Eric for a little bit, let's get right into our first segment. And there we go. Time for Jay's Tiki Talk. Each week I drink a different rum and drink out of a different tiki mug, and I try to pair the rum and or the mug with our guest. This week, I did both. Okay, so the rum is not particularly a good rum, but Eric Nash works for Stamps.com, and it's an old bottle of rum with the old tax stamp on it. Let's see what I did there. Stamp. See what I did there? But this is a twofer, because if you can see where this rum was bottled, you can't really see. It was bottled in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Nice. Yay, Philly.
There we go, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And
cool.
I have tied the tiki mug with our guest because, Eric, where is Stamps.com located?
Los Angeles, or better yet, El Segundo, California.
And in El Segundo, California is a tiki mug owned by my friends Dave and Rebecca called the Purple Orchid. So here's a mug from the Purple Orchid. And they've made a few mugs over the years. This one has long been out of print. So if you find any Purple Orchid mugs, they are worth some good money. By the way, if you ever see Bocador rum, don't pick it up. It's okay, but it's nothing spectacular.
Okay.
I'm sure. My little rum lesson right tonight.
I will assume it's better than like Captain Morgan, or.
It's just it's a clear rum with no real distinctive qualities. So it's just rum. All right, Eric. We'll see you in about 20 minutes, buddy. Thank you.
Sounds good.
And what are you drinking tonight, Nadine?
I'm drinking coffee because I'm really tired. So even though I'm not supposed to be drinking caffeine right now.
Oh, naughty girl.
Yeah, I know. I can't go without my coffee.
All righty. All right, let's get into it, shall we?
Yes, I'm ready.
Time for Nay's breast cancer update and fact of the week.
Yeah, so I'm doing okay. It's I just got my my insurance thing straightened out, so I now have Medicaid, and I got my card in the mail, so now I can go make my appointments. I'm actually going to switch hospitals, which is a little tough at this point in the game, but I'm going to do it, and I'm still going strong. I'm still doing okay right now. Some side effects from my medicine and whatnot, but doing fine. So I'm going to do a tip of, actually a tip kind of like to warn everybody. So there's a breast cancer symptom that you might not be aware of. Everybody talks about having lumps and that being a sign. Well, I didn't have lumps. I didn't have this sign either, but so you can have no sign, unfortunately, but usually you do have some kind of a warning sign. And this symptom, a lot of people don't know about. And what it is dimpling or an indentation on the breast. Now there's a picture of what it looks like. That is cancerous right there. And it just looks like almost like if you have any cellulite, like that kind of thing, just a little, and it can be a really slight indentation. So if you see any changes in your skin like that on your breasts, definitely go see your doctor and bring it up, and you should get checked out, because that can be a sign of breast cancer. It could be other things, so I don't want to scare anybody, but just letting you know, it could be cancer. So
I am so glad you're keeping everyone up to date to what to look for, because I never would have known that.
Yes, a lot of women wouldn't. So
Alrighty, now it is time for everyone's favorite. The scores of the week. Nay and I show you the cool stuff that we sold for good amounts of money. And a funny little side note, 3 of my scores happened within an hour and a half of each other.
Oh.
All right, so we're going to start with you tonight.
Yes, okay. So, okay, so my first score is, I actually listed this around, I bought it to list around Thanksgiving. I did list it before Thanksgiving, and I had at the time in the title Thanksgiving. I took that out. I remarketed it as holiday, and I forgot to take the...
Nadine, I don't hear you anymore. Nadine, I do not hear you anymore. So she bought these Ralph Lauren. What is this? It's a table runner. Hey, she bought it for nickels and sold it for dollars. Technical difficulties. All right. While she's working, I will flip over to mine.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I fixed it. Okay.
All right. So we're back to your table runner. There you go.
Okay. Yeah. So you basically nailed it. I didn't pay pennies for it, but I paid I think I did pay like $1.99 or $2.99 at Goodwill. And I had originally put it up thinking it would sell for Thanksgiving. It didn't. I remarketed it for holiday. It ended up selling in January for $29.95. So that was a decent profit there. And it was really easy to ship. So. And the next one,
Vogue.
Okay. So yeah, so sewing patterns can be very profitable, especially when you pay less than $1 for them if you buy them in lots. And this is an example of one that went, now this one sold for $16.95. It's not showing here, but it did go to an international buyer. I think they were in Australia, and they paid almost as much to ship it as the pattern cost. So they paid over $30 in the end with shipping for this, and it got there really fast, and I got positive feedback within days actually. So yeah, so that was a good one. And then this brand, if you ever find this brand, definitely buy it. It's the brand is called Vince with a period at the end, actually. But Vince is a pretty high-end, decent brand, especially if you find the cashmere or wool sweaters. Definitely pick those up. But these were just regular leggings I found at the Goodwill for $3.99. I just listed them 2 days ago, and they sold within a day for $29.99. So, and this was a Lily Pulitzer jacket that it was a vest that I sold, and it had a really cool lining in it. It should have been reversible, but it actually technically wasn't. But it was actually, I got it for free, so $30. I had it up for $69.99, and I know that was a bit much, but my friend gave it to me. She had bought it for her daughter, and it didn't fit her daughter, so she's like, "Here, sell it, keep." So I sold it, and I did take the 30 on it, which I was happy with that. It was easy to ship. So,
hey, I got a question for you. It's a lady's vest on a lady hanging mannequin, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why do you have the mannequin backwards?
Yeah, that's a good question. I
am full of good questions. You don't have good answers.
Now I wonder. Now go to my fourth photo. I wonder if I had some cancer brain there, because
it's backwards. So now the back's on the front. What the heck's going on here?
Yeah, you caught that. Looks like I messed that one up a little. Yeah. No, I do that for men's clothing and kids' clothing, but this was I'm not quite sure. I must have been having some cancer brain that day. So.
All right. So here's one of the first of the 3 that I sold all within an hour and a half. This is a Don Ho tiki mug. I picked this up off of Craigslist in a lot of tiki mugs. I've sold 3 of the 5 so far. I paid $80 for the whole lot. Don Ho sold for $80. The one I shipped today sold for $35. Another one sold for $45, and I still have 1 or 2 left. So keep your eyes peeled on Craigslist. And this Don Ho mug is made by Tiki Farm. It's been out of print for quite a while, and you could always get about $80 for it. This is another item I sold within that same day. If you remember from a haul back when I was in LA with my friend from Australia, this was picked up at a little Jewish thrift store. It's Les Sports Sack doing a little thing with Tokidoki. And this sold for $57. Had it listed for about a day. That's not what I wanted to see. Let me try and get a little refresh. Righty. And here's my big score of the week. These are light covers. If you have a monster truck with the lights on top, these are light covers, and they were official Bigfoot. If you remember Bigfoot, it was the original monster truck. I bought these at an estate sale a few years ago, about 2 years ago, for $5 each. I had two boxes of them, and there was a pair in each, so 4 total. I was going to list them for $100 per, and I'm like, I'll try 150 or best offer. They sold like that, so I turned $10 into $300 like that, and I think I underpriced. And so I was like, boo. Let me find my fourth score here real quick, because something happened to it. Oh, yeah. I don't want to miss this either, because along with the tiki mug and the purse, I sold this pen for $200.
What?
Yeah. So this is a pen made by Acme Writing Tools. They're very sought-after pens. And what they do is they license them to different artists and things and stuff. And this one was licensed to Shag, and Shag is a tiki artist that I love and collect. If you've watched me at all, you know that. So, yeah. So I've not sold a lot of things this week, but $300 light covers, a $200
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, you blew my scores way out of the water this week.
$8 tiki mug. It has been a great week of higher-end items, and so they've done quite well.
Oh,
all right.
awesome.
So you've seen our scores, and now it is time for... It's time for our duds of the week. Don't let our mistakes be yours. Okay, my 2 duds just sat around. Well, one sat around for far too long. It actually didn't sell for $19.99. It sold for $12. Now, I do quite well with cowboy shirts. However, this one is kind of boring. It's got a little bit of flair, but not enough, and it sat in my store for 2 years. So when someone offered me $12 today, I happily took it. And then while I was out thrifting today, Head makes tennis rackets and skis, and apparently no one cares about this shirt. It was in my store for about 4 months. Someone finally offered me $10, and I happily took that too, so $10 free shipping. So stay away from boring cowboy shirts and Head t-shirts.
Okay, so this one I had up for $19.99. I thought maybe it would sell now because it's, around Valentine's Day and it's got the love, but somebody offered me in California $12.99 with free shipping, and it is a little delicate, and it's porcelain, so it's not something you have to wait. Yes, sorry. So it is something that I could not FOMO. So going to California at 2 pounds, it would probably be about $10 to ship with the price increase. And I was not taking $12.99. So I actually countered at $14.99, and she declined for $2 more. So this is probably a major dud. And then the next one, I've talked about songbooks and how they're great. And, now this one didn't actually sell for $9.96. I had my store on sale, so it sold for about $8 with free shipping. And even going first class, it with the increase, it was like $4 to ship. So I really didn't make that much on it. I think I only paid $1, but this one was an example of one that wasn't, as great of a sale.
Yep, some can be winners and some can be losers. And that's why we share our duds. Alrighty, now it is time for... Close Encounters of the Thrifty kind. Where Nay and I tell you fun stories of encounters we've had at the thrift stores. And man, mine is epic this week. Beyond epic. Okay. So I'm going to set the scene for you. I'm standing at the glass display case. I'm looking through stuff. I turn around, and the customer behind me is bent over looking at bracelets on the lowest rung of a rack. Now, that would not normally be something they'd be like, what? The difference here is this thrifter only had one article of clothing on, a sweatshirt. No shoes, no undergarments, and when she was bent over, I saw the whole undercarriage. Yes, that's right. The whole undercarriage. Here she is. And the added point to this thrifty encounter was they found her not wearing shoes, so they made her buy shoes. So you would think that, you know, if you're not wearing shoes and you had to buy some shoes, you buy some quick flats. Well, nope. She decided that she was going to buy these heels and put them back on and go back to thrifting.
Okay, and she maybe they should have had her buy some pants.
Yeah. If they're gonna make her buy to buy shoes,
Wow.
they would have bought some underwear.
So she was really thrifting in just a sweatshirt and nothing else.
Yes, and
literally.
she had a full cart. I mean, it wasn't like she was just some
crazy.
You know, some person just passing through. She had a full cart of stuff. And I spared you guys the pictures of the undercarriage.
Thank you. Yes, that
You're
was nice
welcome.
of you. That is crazy.
That was one of my craziest in a long, because I just turned around. I'm like, well, hello. Good to see you. Thanks for smiling at me.
So if you remember my thrifty tip from last week, I had spoken to a couple of the employees at the Goodwill, at my local Goodwill, and I had complained about them taking the linen section out. And I said, you know, I made that suggestion, and I went in there this week, and lo and behold, they've actually organized, and it's very small, but they put some linens out. So I talked to and his picture isn't it? I had his picture last week, but I talked to the same employee, and I was like, oh, you started the linen section. This is great. And he was like, yeah, he's like, thanks for the suggestion. A couple of our other customers have also said the same thing. And
nice.
We had enough feedback that the manager actually listened this time. So that was pretty cool. So
that's awesome. Like instant, like listening to the customers.
Yeah, it was really, so the linens is back, and he said that as they get more, they'll be expanding the section now. So I'm very happy.
All righty. Cool. All right. Now it is time for our thrifty tips of the week. Little tips and tricks on to help you find better things to flip online. Hopefully they're not duds. Now, mine is not really a thrifted item. This week, find my tip. I have a hard time with my tip. My tip is to find things that are not thrifted. Sheesh, it's like I'm drunk already. This is a crazy old rum. But things that are not plentiful. Things that are in short supply. Flip them. So, for instance, I've talked about the Snapchat spectacles. I paid $140 for these, and I sold my first pair for $240. So I made about $100. So those are things that are rare. They only show up very so often. This is very rare. This happened today, so I wanted to share with you. I didn't get one. I almost did. I was kind of close. McDonald's, as a promotion, gave away 10,000 bottles of their special sauce today, the kind they put on the Big Macs. So if you got a free bottle, as you can see, what they're selling for, 125, 120, 101, 100, 100, 100, 100 was the going rate. So keep your eyes and ears peeled to things that are happening around you. So if you knew the McDonald's secret sauce was coming out today and it was one of the McDonald's near you, then you could have picked it up and made a quick $100.
I love the one with the inside of the priority box as the background.
Yeah.
So my tip is do not be intimidated by hard to reach places in your thrift stores. Now, this is a huge, huge box that I could have fit in, and it just had those clothes in the bottom of it, and everybody else was just passing by the box. Nobody was looking in it. So what do? I lean over, take the risk of falling in completely. And I just I ducked down, I reached in, and I pulled out. Actually, I found in North Face. I found a couple good things in there. Some of it was just nothing good, but there were actually a couple of good things. And had I avoided the box like everyone else, because I was it was very deep and hard to get to, I wouldn't have found those items. And also, sometimes in some thrift stores, they have shelves that are really, really high with stuff up. If you see something that you're interested in, ask an employee. They do have ladders there to get that stuff down, and someone will get it for you. Don't be afraid. Can I borrow
your ladder?
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, they at Philly 8 Surf, they have high shelves, and if you say, hey, I want to see something up on the high shelf, they'll get the ladder and they'll get it for you. So don't be intimidated or afraid to find hard to reach, to look at hard to reach things. You might find some gems.
I hope they don't let my thrifty encounter use a ladder. Thank
you. No.
I'll be here all week. Thank you.
Oh. Yeah, that would be not good. Oh boy.
But hey, let me tell you, that's Vegas, ladies and gentlemen. And I wasn't even at Crazy Town. For those who've been following me for a while, you know what Crazy Town is.
What time of the day was that?
Oh, it was like 11 a.m.
So she was probably up all night.
No, it was 1 p.m. It was 1 p.m. That's what time it was.
Oh, so I was gonna say maybe she was coming off of her shift. You know,
yeah, who knows?
I don't know.
All right, now it's time for You Have Got to Be Shipping Me, where Nay and I give you shipping tips on what to do and what not to do. Our shipping segment is brought to you by Bubble Fast, a family-owned business providing quality shipping supplies to the online community since 1999. Bubble Fast, the internet's home for shipping supplies. And as always, if you don't remember or don't know, when you shop at Bubble Fast, if you plug in JAYANDNAY at checkout, you get 10% off your entire order. So speaking of Bubble Fast, I have a bunch of posters I got to work on, Nadine. So I ordered a bunch of poster tubes, and we've never talked about poster tubes. I wanted to give you a little tip and trick on poster tubes. There's actually three tips. A, take your label and put it this way, not up and down, because it'll be easier for the post office to scan. B, this won't pop out, but all you got to do is put one piece of tape over the end. You do not need to go hog wild and tape it 17 times. These tubes are made for the end to actually stick in. And B, if you have a poster that's going to move, now this one doesn't, so I don't need to do much, but if you have a poster that's a little too small for the tube, what you need to do is take some tissue paper, stick it down the tube very lightly so it doesn't damage a poster, and just enough so it holds it into place, and then lit it. That way, because if it has room to bounce back and forth the whole time it travels, it'll also keep banging the ends, and the ends will get all worn out. So just a little bit of tissue paper. Don't push too hard, but just enough to hold it in place, and then you can use a tube that wasn't actually meant for it. You can just use any tube you got laying around. So there is your little tips on poster tubes.
Very good. So my tip, if you can bring up my picture.
Yes, I will.
Yes. So I was feeling a little blue this past week, and Jason sent me a little cheer up package, which was so nice. And it was this bestie hat that I'm wearing, and this adorable giraffe, and those swizzle sticks they are from a bar called Longitude. Where is that bar, Jason?
That is in Oakland, California.
Okay. So, but my shipping tip is how Jason packaged. Now, it all came in a priority flat rate padded envelope, and he packaged the swizzle sticks this way, which I wouldn't have thought of. He put them between a folded piece of cardboard, taped it together, and so that they wouldn't crack, and just slid them in there, and they went across the country. And I have 2 intact giraffes that did not crack. So that was a really good way to ship something like that. That's, that can crack, that's breakable, but you don't really need bubble wrap for it. The cardboard, I think, was a much better choice in this situation. So thank you, Jason.
Oh, you are so welcome. Yeah, if you're ever in Oakland, yeah, there is a ton of awesome tiki bars in the Bay Area, and this is a newer one, and the drinks are phenomenal. The cocktail, the tiki mugs are great. And I don't know why they love giraffes. Odd swizzle for a tiki bar, but it's cool swizzle.
One wonder why they love giraffes. Hello.
Yeah.
Because giraffes are awesome.
All righty. Now it's time for our viewers' 2-minute topic of the week. And this is where you usually see the question from the viewer. But wait, we don't have any. And here's why. We need more questions from you guys, the viewers. If you go to Thrifty Business with Jay and Nay on Facebook, there is a post. Please enter your questions. But here's the kind of questions we need. Here's how the segment works. It's a time segment, 60 seconds. And so what the goal is to try to ask a question that Nay and I might, a procedure that we'll probably do differently or something we look for differently. And then we got 60 seconds to give you our best answer. A lot of questions we're getting lately are factual questions that have a distinct answer. That doesn't really work. If you ask Jay and A what 2 + 2 is, we're both going to say 4, and that takes about a second. So do us a favor. Think about a question, think about something that a giant male living in Las Vegas might do differently than a cute, petite, redheaded female in Philadelphia. So that's the kind of questions we need, that we might have a difference of an answer, and we got to fit it in the 60 seconds. So please go over there and give us some good questions. You know, think of something that you could kind of challenge us. You'll hear both answers, and you're like, well, I kind of like Nay's answer better. That's what you want.
Yeah.
Well, you can't ask us factual questions because it's just an answer.
Yeah. And something that, like Jason said, that we might have some difference of opinion, you know, because we're two totally different people. And also, if you go to the J&A, Thrifty Business J&A fan page, just scroll down a little bit and you will find that post where you can enter your 2-minute topics in the comments. So please, give us some more questions so that we can have our segment. Thank you.
Yes. All right. Now it is time for, and I'm sure that segment will be back in full next week. Now it is time for our Trendy BOLOs. What is hot at the moment, what you should be looking for, what people are hunting for, what people are wearing, what people are doing. So that being said, Nadine is up first.
So the big trend, for one of the big trends for spring 2017, we're seeing this on the runways, is bright stripes. And I'm talking like, you know, like all these, you can see they're really bright multicolors. And the good thing about this is this has been a trend that's been happening since the 70s. So you can find, I mean, especially in the 80s, it's kind of come back from the 80s. I remember even in the 90s having like some ski sweaters that had like these bright stripes. So it's definitely a trend that's been around for a while. So you can find some vintage clothing in the thrift stores with these bright stripes, and it's back in style now. So always look for that. And it's a big thing this spring. So
now, Nay and I do not go over what each other's talking about in our segments, and we have kind of repeated or kind of coincided on a few things. This is one of them. I get all her stuff so I can get all the pics ready so I know what's happening. But I've been watching, I love watching award shows. Why? I don't know, because they're long and boring. But I watch the People's Choice. I watch the Golden Globes. Grammys are coming up. You know, Oscars are coming up. And the one thing I noticed this year is a lot of the men are wearing plaid suits and tuxedos. Usually subtle, but I wanted to show that. So when I was looking, I found Business Insider, and it says male style trends for 2017. Oops, let me put the picture up here. While navy and charcoal will still be the most common suit colors you'll see in 2017, don't be surprised if you see brighter, more festive colors throughout the year, even patterns like plaid suits. So I noticed it, and people are talking about it. So
yeah, so that's similar to mine.
Yes. So go to the sport coat section. You probably won't find something modern, but you find any of the plaids. That's what people are wearing, and the hipsters will love the dorkier 70s plaids. Trust me on that. I've sold a bunch.
Definitely. Yeah, that's very cool.
Yes, we both went fashion this time.
Yeah.
All right, now it is time for our last segment before our guest. And thank you, J&A's Mini Thrift Hauls, where we tease you with a couple things for our next thrift haul. And hey, our next thrift haul is going to be tomorrow morning. I'll give you the time in a minute. So the two things I want to tease you with are, and this little tease is for those of you who are not pop culture oriented, who are not aware of what's happening in pop culture. I'm going to talk about why this is one of the best scrubs I've found in a long time, besides the obvious. So we'll talk about that tomorrow in our thrift haul. And you saw a pen by the artist Shag, who I love. We're going to talk about his t-shirts tomorrow, which I found the other day. So tune in to learn about Shag t-shirts and Wonder Woman.
Cool. So I get actually my friend Lola and I,
there goes your sound again, Nadine. Nadine's sound has always been a problem. We've actually sent the microphone in to get fixed. They say, nope. All right, you're back.
Yeah, they did. They say they couldn't find the issue, and I'm still having issues with it. So Okay, so I went, my friend Lola and I, today we decided to have a listing day together to kind of motivate each other. So I went over to her house and we did get some listings done, but we had to go to the post office. And on the way back from the post office, we passed a thrift store, Circle Thrift. So I'm not thrifting right now because, you know, I don't really have a budget or anything, but we hit a 50-cent and half off sale. So
So not a 50% sale, a 50-cent sale.
50 cents.
4
yes.
bits.
Yes, I spent like nothing and I got some really awesome items, and it was all the blue tags were 50 cents, and you'd be surprised. There was a lot of blue gems there. You would think that it would be picked over and everything. Nope, nope, nope. And also the green tags were half off. So I only stuck, because I'm on a budget right now, I stuck to just green and blue tags. So only half off. And most of my items were 50 cents. So really, really cool. And I'll show you some of the other finds tomorrow that I got for 50 cents. So
let's go see our finds.
yeah, sorry. This is a CD that I bought, and I'm not going to really talk too much about it, but I will tell you it's new and it's sealed, and there's something about it that is that I learned today that is a tip that Jason has never even given on CDs. So I'm going to give a tip tomorrow, a little tip. Yeah, a little bonus tip on CDs and what to look for that Jason has never talked about before. And this is also a purse that I bought. This one was not 50 cents, but it was half off. So it was like $3. And it's actually a brand that I was not aware of, but when I saw the completeds on it, I was very impressed. So this is well worth the $3.
Nice. Cool. So speaking of, let's do a little housekeeping. So tune in tomorrow, Friday, January 27th, noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, J&A's next thrift haul. You'll see those 4 things and many more things. And if you remember my tease last week, I'm going to talk about a place that most of you probably skip that you can find good thrifted items. So tune in tomorrow. Sunday, it's my mom and I show, finally back. Sunday the 29th, 6 p.m. in the East, 3 p.m. in the West. It's called Selling Past Your Expiration Date, Being Thrifty Over 50. It's a thrift show aimed at the senior thrifter and seller. We tend to go a little slower and really break things down. And this week's topic is choosing the right keywords for your title. I can't tell you how much that drives me nuts when I see bad listings. It's either bad pictures or crummy titles. So we're going to talk about titles. And those of you who are in my secret beach, your next webinar is Monday. I got a lot of shows in the next couple of days. Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, how to do a physical Amazon and eBay inventory. And if you're inquisitive about the secret beach and you're not on it, there will be a big announcement coming soon about the secret beach. So stay tuned for that. And then one more housekeeping tip before we get into our guest. There you go, Nadine. Hello, Nadine. Come in, Nadine. Hello, Nadine. No sound again. I'm going to smash your computer with a hammer, and then I'm going to smash it with a sledgehammer, and then I'm here. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. No smashing. So, okay.
All right. So tell us about what I have up on the screen.
All right. So, so I'm doing 2 more. The first thrifting class that I did was so much fun and so successful. And it was really great watching everyone afterwards, list everything that they got and sell. And some people had some really great scores. Everybody had good scores, but some of them were just amazing. And so I want to help, I want to show people again, some bolos and help them find some really great stuff again. And so I'm going to do another Thrift with Nay. It's going to be a class just about, the girly stuff, women's shoes, women's clothing, women's accessories. We will do household items, linens, definitely, and a few other sections. We will not be doing men's clothing or electronics or anything like that. But it's the first one is going to be Monday on Monday, the 6th of February at 9 a.m. And that's going to be in the Northern Philly burb. So if you're anywhere in the area, even if you have to drive a couple hours, I will make it worth your time and money. You will make your money back and then some. And Tuesday, the 21st, that's the day after President's Day. at 9 a.m. It's going to be in central New Jersey. So I tried to pick a location that was accessible to both New York City people, New Jersey people, Delaware people, Pennsylvania people. So if you're anywhere in this region, you know, and you can make it, please do, because it's going to be a lot of fun, and it'll definitely be worth your time. So.
Cool. All right, let's get to our guests because we got all kinds of fun things.
Did you mention our show next Thursday too?
Oh, yeah, we're going to have an in-studio guest. Yeah, we didn't have a graphic yet. I totally forgot.
Okay.
Mandy Kennett. Mandy's been a friend of ours forever. She knows her shit about teddy bears, of all things. So we're going to talk teddy bears, and she'll be here live in my studio. So
I just wanted to, and that's awesome, because I know Mandy, she is an amazing seller. So I just wanted to mention, someone in the chat, Elvis said that CDs are a waste of time, in his opinion. And that is not something that we would agree with.
No, Elvis must be new to following me, because Elvis, I made about $3,000 on Christmas CDs alone this winter.
Yeah, and some of them are duds, but I'm starting to learn, and I'm starting to do a lot better now. I'm starting to really get the hang of it, and you can make some decent money on CDs. So, all
right, let's get into it. Hey, it's our guest of the week, Eric Nash, Senior Director of Online Marketing for Stamps.com. And yes, that is Eric upside down in this picture. And we will definitely talk about what's going on in that picture, because as you can see, Eric is not a young spring chicken. How are you, Eric?
I'm real good, Jason.
Oh, what happened to your sound? What happened to your sound, Eric? Oh. Yeah, it went back to that whole robotic thing that we were dealing with before the show started. So let's see if Eric can get that adjusted a little bit. So Eric works for Stamps.com. If you don't know, Stamps.com is an alternative way of shipping as opposed to going to the post office or even going to USPS.com. And if you have multiple platforms you sell on, you can have them all kind of logged into Stamps.com and print all in one place. How do you sound now, Eric? Even worse. Eric sounded like this before we started. Then he fixed it. He sounded perfect. And then back to robot disgruntled voice.
Maybe he needs to restart again. No,
I don't know, because it's weird. Eric, I'm sure Eric didn't do anything while he was watching our show.
Yeah, that's crazy.
All right, so Eric, I would recommend leaving and coming back in. So let's try that. So while we're waiting for that, we'll talk about CDs real quick. Yeah, look, I realize it's 2016. You can download anything. You could rip and steal anything off online. But let me tell you, the collectors are out there. See all these CDs back here? They ship a couple a day, and most of them are rare and worth a good bit of money. I will spend $50 on a CD and sell it for $250. Hi, Eric. Nope.
No. Oh, goodness.
Man. So, hey, yeah, go to Eric. If you take your mouse and hover up at the top, you'll see a little gear that says settings. Switch the microphone to whatever it isn't, and then we'll see what that sounds like. And yeah, Elvis, of course you can't buy scratch CDs, but look, these 600 CDs are not scratched at all. I find tons of good CDs.
Yeah, and don't you, Jason, you also have said that if you find a really good CD that is worth something and it's got some scratches on it, you can have it resurfaced. You can pay to have it. Yeah, like our friend Brian, actually, he sells a lot of CDs. He has a warehouse and he sells a lot of DVDs and CDs, and he has his own machines, which cost a lot, but he has a lot that are scratched, and he runs them through the machine, and they're as good as new.
Let's hear Eric.
All right, can you hear me now?
Oh yeah. Yay! Okay. Yay!
Here. All right. Sorry for that little problem there.
All right. So hey, Eric, tell us about Stamps.com, would you please, sir?
All right. Stamps.com is online postage software. We've been around since 1996. One of the first 3 vendors to have a PC postage license. Basically, we give you the ability to print USPS shipping labels. Very similar to eBay shipping, which pretty much everybody's all familiar with. The big difference for us is that we kind of are built for people who are selling on multiple channels and or multiple eBay stores. And we give you the ability to print shipping labels in a little faster manner, as well as kind of give you, if you are selling in multiple channels, we give you kind of a great UI where you can import all of your orders from these different sources, and then you can kind of do some efficiency in terms of how you're printing your labels. So say you got a bunch of blue widgets, you want to print all those labels all at one time and then pack and print them all at the same time. Or maybe you want to do all of your international orders at the same time. You just have a lot more flexibility in printing those labels, as well as speed. A couple great big features we have besides being able to import orders from many different sources. One is you can pay for your postage with a PayPal debit card. So typically, shipping is one of the biggest costs in sellers' total cost structure, along with the product. And so why not get some cash back on that? And so PayPal debit cards give you 1% cash back, and we allow you to use your PayPal debit card for that shipping. Other things too, you can do upload your logo onto your label. You can include messaging on your label, and you can do a lot of other features, but those are really the bulk of them. And the real feature is if you are printing multiple labels or using multiple sources, we give you the ability to print all those labels very fast and very quickly.
So, and the key there is, for those of you who have sold on Amazon Merchant Fulfilled, like my CDs right here, I ship them when they sell. Amazon does not ship them. Amazon's a little bit of a jerk. They charge you 7 cents per label. Now, Stamps.com is a subscription-based service, but if you're selling enough that it equals how many 7 cents you got to pay, it's ridiculous, because I don't sell as many CDs as I used to. But back in the day, I was selling 300 to 500 CDs a month. And so times that by 7 cents a label, that's too much crazy money.
No doubt. And actually, if you're a Stamps.com customer and you're printing labels on Amazon, you can get that 7 cent fee waived. All you have to do is there should be a little section that says click here if you're a Stamps.com customer. And we do some of the back end work for Amazon Marketplace Label System. Very important I say it exactly as that. And you can input your username, your Stamps.com username, and get that 7 cent fee waived.
Cool. And I'm going to answer a question right now in the chat because it pertains to what we were just talked about there. Ken Files tracking numbers are able to input on eBay? Question mark.
That's a good question.
I didn't hear that.
Oh, I'm sorry. So tracking numbers, if you use Stamps.com, are able to input to eBay?
Absolutely, as well as all the other sources as well. So as you print your label, we post back tracking usually within 15 minutes. eBay kind of throttles their APIs, so determining on how much volume they're getting inbound from other API sources. But usually it's very quickly. So absolutely, and Amazon as well, Etsy, all the shopping carts. Once you print your label on Stamps.com, the tracking number is posted back.
How long you worked there, Eric?
10 and a half years now. Very long.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Wow, that is a long time at a job. So you must like it.
Yeah, it's been a great time. You know, I've worked in the .com space since 1999. You know, and I've worked at a lot of different places. Obviously, in the .com world, it's you know, a year or 2 years really is considered like 5. But in this case, you know, Stamps is more of a software company than .com. They give you a lot of autonomy to do what you want. I mean, me being in online marketing, it's, you know, we do paid search and banners and all that stuff. And so it's really fun to be able to kind of, you know, pick your campaigns you want to do, track it, see how it does, and then optimize it and grow it from there. So I've had a lot of flexibility and a lot of, it's been a great time, in fact.
I have a question here. As we've talked about eBay selling, you know, using stamps for eBay and for Amazon, but what if I wanted to just send a package to my lovely co-host for Christmas? How would that work? And then are there shipping discounts for that?
So absolutely. So all the postage we'll just say discount one because that's obviously a common question. You know, in Stamps.com, you're going to print what's called commercial base discounts. And so that's pretty much all the online postage vendors get that, including on eBay shipping. The big question all eBay sellers have is the top rate seller discounts that are provided. That's one thing that we're very envious and very jealous of. While we do have commercial plus pricing, which is typically what eBay or top rated sellers get, the USPS restricts us in how we offer it. And so the original Commercial Plus program came out, and you had to have a lot of volume, like 50,000 packages per year, in order to get those, qualify for those. And so they are still holding us to those agreements. So while we do offer commercial base, on the Commercial Plus, we can turn it on for a customer, and we just have to have a huge volume and basically have to have a written agreement with them. However, I will bring up, each year, Commercial Plus discounts have dropped over the last 2 years, and including even on eBay, on First Class Mail International, First Class Package International service, those discounts are kind of getting a little smaller as well. So it's becoming a little bit more of an even playing field, but certainly we are very envious. So that's the discount question. And then regarding printing a one-time label, we absolutely can do that. Nadine, you have a package tab, and you can just print one at a time, or then we have what's called the batch section, and that's where you print multiple labels at once.
Okay, so that sounds good. Thank you.
So let me show a little screenshot, because here's what makes stamps.com stand out from using just straight up USPS.com or even PayPal shipping, because you can do that too. But the one thing that Stamps offers that USPS and PayPal does not, and it's something that we all use quite often, is the regional boxes. So if I wanted to send something in a regional A or regional B, I can't do it on USPS.com, and I cannot do it on PayPal.com/ship now, but I can do it on Stamps.com, and that's where it comes in handy. Stamps.com has the full, every option that you have when you're selling something through eBay. Stamps has that too.
You know, Jason, I'd even point out that in Click and Ship, you don't get commercial-based discounts any longer. That started last year. So, and that's part of the reason why they don't have regional rate A's. And so you're paying actual retail post office price when you print a label on Click and Ship. So hopefully no sellers are doing anything on Click and Ship. Hopefully they're using either eBay shipping, PayPal shipping, or Stamps.com or Indicia or any of the other providers out there.
Yeah, I've also noticed, no, I do not have Stamps. I guess I should have Stamps, but I have noticed I actually shipped a package to Jason today, and I did it through PayPal. And I noticed that they do not only do they don't have the padded flat rate option there. They just have flat rate. So you can't ship padded flat rate through. And then they don't have the regional boxes. And when you go on the USPS site to print postage, you can't do first class. You can only do priority or above, or express, or and that's it. You cannot do first class. So
yeah, that's right. And first class package service, as hopefully all sellers know, is absolutely the best deal in shipping. Amongst all carriers, there is no cheaper price to ship a package. And first class package service is within 1 to 3 days, nationwide. So it goes up to £1 now, or 15.99. It is absolute, includes tracking. It is the absolute best service, as long as you can get that your product in there below 15.99 ounces.
So one thing about Eric, and I've known Eric now for a long, long time. Eric and Stamps.com obviously are a huge champion for us, the small seller, the seller at home. They sponsor a lot of events, they sponsor a lot of shows, and they love us, the small sellers. And so I just want to thank you, because you guys are always there. You're always helpful. You've always helped out. I've watched it for years, and you've been one of the main companies that have still there, still helping out, still sponsoring stuff. So very cool of you. Yeah.
So Eric, you might not remember, but a couple of years ago at the eBay radio event, I actually had lunch with you in a group, and I had all these questions about just USPS questions and stamps questions, and you were great. You answered everything. You were really good with the whole group of sellers. So, yeah, it's definitely geared for, us smaller people. And I also wanted to know, Heather in the chat, actually, she asked, does stamps.com somehow tap into your eBay or other accounts to be able to print the labels? I would assume PayPal also. Can you pay through PayPal? How does that work?
Absolutely, you're able to connect via the API. You connect it into eBay, and like I said, you can do multiple eBay accounts. So people who have multiple eBay stores or eBay accounts, you can have one central hub to print all those labels. After you print and that's the same. It pretty much is the same process for every store and/or marketplace. So whether it be Etsy, Amazon, shopping carts such as Magento, BigCommerce, Shopify, PrestaShop, it's just a huge list of places that we're integrated with. Very simple process. It's very straightforward. Sometimes a marketplace or a cart will require you to put a token in. I'm sure most people are familiar with tokens on eBay. It doesn't happen every time, oddly. I'm not exactly sure what determines that, but that's a simple process. You get a token or a number from either an email from the eBay or Amazon or whatever, and you plug it in, and away it goes. In terms of paying with PayPal, you can't use your PayPal account, unfortunately. We don't have an integration to our merchant account into PayPal, but you can use your PayPal debit card. So that's one way of kind of using a similar process.
So I'm going to ask you a question from the chat, but I'm going to answer one from the chat. Kara Cooper says, can you ship media mail on stamps? Yes, you can. And then Chris followed up with saying you can't do media mail on USPS.com. So yes.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm.
You can do media mail. And media mail comes in handy when you're shipping records or groups of cassettes. Mm-hmm. And if you watch the haul tomorrow, I'm going to show some new cassettes I bought. Is it just USPS, Eric, or can you do FedEx Smart Post?
Unfortunately, it is just USPS with stamps.com. We do have some sister companies, however. We've been on a kind of an acquisition spree here over the last 2 years. We recently purchased ShipStation, which is a multi-carrier product, as well as ShipWorks and Shipping Easy. All three of those platforms do allow multiple carriers, including regional carriers, as well as international carriers for people who are say printing packages in the UK or in Australia or Canada. We do provide those services as well. But stamps.com and Indicia, which is also our sister company, both of us are, by our license with the USPS, we're limited to only printing USPS. Smart Post and SurePost are kind of considered UPS and FedEx products. So that's why we're restricted in doing it. We're not allowed to print those.
So is there a monthly fee plus the shipping, or is it do you just pay for the shipping? How does that work?
Yeah, so there is, generally speaking, there is a monthly fee. It's $15.99 per month, and that allows you access to the service, and that gives you the full feature set, giving you the ability to import from Amazon, the carts, and whatever. We do have a free eBay program. There is no subscription fee. It's absolutely free. However, the account is limited to only importing from eBay. So, and it's absolutely free. It's been around since 2009. If you happen to sign up and mistakenly sign up for our paid program, you can call our customer support. Our customer support's based here in the U.S. Open Monday through Friday. It's telephone support, and they can switch your account. And generally speaking, if you search on Google for stamps.com free eBay account, you'll find it. But there are some ways, some tricks of the trade you'll see in the message boards and how to do manual orders with the free eBay account and do some other little tricks. But I won't go too deep into those.
Things you can find on the internet. I will tell you, here's what I use stamps for, and I've used them forever. All my Amazon orders, because like he said, it's real easy. It's just imported. Everything's there, so it's just a list. And then and if it's all CDs, because most CDs weigh 4 ounces. So say I'm shipping 10 CDs and they're all 4 ounces. I click the checkbox at the top that highlights all of them. I plug in 4 ounces first class. It does it all immediately on all 10. Then I print out all 10. Super duper easy. So I love that. And
yeah.
I ship a lot to friends and family, and I sold some things just through chatting with people online yesterday. They got shipped out tomorrow. So I can do all those things super duper easy, and that's what I love stamps for. It makes my life easy for all the extracurricular things. So that's a great question. And I don't know the answer, so I'm going to ask you. Obviously, Chris Nelson wants to know, does Stamps.com offer cubic priority?
What is that exactly?
Cubic, yes, we absolutely do. Cubic's a version of priority mail. You have to, it's not typically live on a person's account. You have to call our support and they would have to turn it on. But it's a way of doing smaller, denser packages where they price it differently than they typically would. And if you have small, heavier packages, it's a lot cheaper. So we do absolutely have cubic pricing.
Nice.
I just learned something.
Somebody answered it in the chat, but I want to answer it here just in case we get a lot of viewers after the fact. If someone says, what the hell's API? So basically what API is, and we don't have to go into it too technically, but you basically set up Amazon, Stamps.com to go. It basically goes and knocks on the door of Amazon. Hello, Amazon, does Jason have any orders? Oh, yes, he does. We will take them, and we will import them and be all ready to go. So when Jason wakes up in the morning, he just has to click a couple buttons, and he prints out the labels. Is that simplistic enough? You know, you just got to tell Stamps.com where your store is, and that's what the API is. And so they talk to each other, and so you don't have to do anything at your end. It's all just automatic.
Yeah, and Jason, I would point out that's really all on the back end. From a customer or a seller's point of view, they really don't have to do anything. It's very straightforward. Their screens come up and say, like, do you want to connect your account with eBay? And it's like, yes, please input your username and password. And then a screen will come up from eBay saying, do you want us to share your orders with Stamps.com? It's all very straightforward. The API language is really developer talk, and I probably should never even use that term, so I apologize for that. But
that's all right. It's a term that, because I have other things that are connected through APIs, and so it's just a good term to know, because even though you don't need to know the ones and zeros of it, it's good to know what it means,
Absolutely.
So it is a good question. Another Chris has a question about the cubic pricing, and I really don't know this answer. What's an example of cubic pricing? Is it like a 100-pound bar of gold that's only 7 inches long? Is that cubic pricing, or what are we talking about here?
Auto parts would be a good example. Small things that are heavier. I think the maximum is 20 pounds for cubic pricing. And then there's a formula in terms of determining the price. So I don't recall offhand how it's determined, but it goes by, there's like 5 zones basically, and you do a little formula, and then based on that formula, you find a pricing mechanism or pricing matrix. But it would be smaller packages, things like, typically like, say 6 to 8 inches by 6 to 8 inches, and very heavy, up to 20 pounds. And so you're going to pay the same price whether it be like 19 pounds or whether it be 1 pound. It's the same price regardless. You're paying on this cubic. Basically, cubic is how they determine how a package fits into the truck, how much cubic space it takes. And so you're paying for the space and not so much the weight. So that's why it's really good for heavier items that are small.
Okay. So Elvis in the chat wants to know about insurance and signature confirmation. Are those also available features?
Absolutely. We have insurance as well as signature confirmation. Any service USPS offers, we have. Insurance is a great question. Because we do insure, we have a different type of insurance than eBay has, and our insurance does insure countries that typically are not available, such as Russia, and I believe Brazil as well. So some countries that are not available, or at least they previously weren't available. I don't know if anything's changed over the last year. We do allow people to insure those parcels. So. Now, granted, if we have a mad rush of people shipping to Russia and we have a bunch of issues of lost packages, that may change in the future. But overall, we have it's currently available, and we have a lot of people using us to insure to those countries.
Yeah, that's another feature that's great and not offered in other places, because like you said, there are countries that are not commonly offered for insurance. So I think that's great. That's another added bonus. Yeah.
Jewelry too is something that's typically not included. Laptops, some of the electronics, those things our insurance allows. So there are pluses and minuses on all insurance companies. So always take a look at that type of stuff, and we have it.
I have a question actually. I know with like if you use the global shipping program, especially there's certain things. Certain countries have certain rules. Like I know one odd one is no leather products to Italy. Is anything like that? Do you have any of those international things? Do you have like a checklist of that, or do you if someone's trying to ship something that's prohibited in a country, do you have any kind of checks and balances for that, or?
We do. We have we don't have so much checks and balances. So if you were to put in an item that's prohibited, our systems unfortunately are not going to block that item.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm not even aware of any software that does do that currently.
Yeah. No, but I think the only thing really is the global shipping program is prohibits certain things. But I think eBay just gives you basically a list of what's prohibited, and then you're kind of shipping at your own risk. So
yeah. And we do this something similar. We have, when you choose a different country, we'll have a list that pops up, and it'll say, shipping to France, these items are restricted. And it goes down into the list. And so that will be right up in front. So hopefully that prevents you from, and hopefully you're doing that before you're listing the product. But but if you if you mistakenly do it, then hopefully you'll know, there is a risk if you're going to ship that product to that particular country.
Okay.
So, Eric, the rates just went up this past week, and although we tried to prep our group, the Thrifty Board, with a post many months in the making, it was like a shocker to like maybe a third of the group. Like, people were so shocked to print shipping on Monday and be like, what the hell? And I know, because I'm a Stamps.com customer, I get the emails from you guys, so I know prep too. But it's just crazy how many people they see it, but they just ignore it.
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out to our lifeguard, our admin CR, because she is our shipping girl, and she is on top of everything shipping, and she's been posting about this, like Jason said, for months now, that the rates are going to increase, it's going to happen, and it happened, and everyone got very upset. So
yeah, rates are never
about stamps.
Yeah, rate increases are never fun, Unfortunately, they're like death and taxes. Every year, carriers are going to increase their rates. Previously the USPS didn't really follow FedEx and UPS's lead. They kind of changed their rates sporadically. Now, every January, most likely we're going to see rate increases. And unfortunately, this year it was very tough for like first-class package service. I believe it went up. Pretty much anywhere from 11 ounces and higher. It went up like, I think, 30 to 50 cents, which is huge. It's a huge thing for sellers to absorb. It still is the cheapest option though, so that's great news. There were some, shining little pieces of gold. Regional rate A, zone 8, and only zone 8, 1 pound, dropped by 49 cents.
Yeah. Wow.
So, a little nugget there if you're going cross country.
Yeah, I'll take the victories where we can get them.
yeah, and that's a pretty good victory. Zone. It's only 1 pound, unfortunately, but absolutely, it stinks when rates go up. Stamps.com, obviously, the rates are always updated. That's one thing that we've done really well compared to, say, eBay shipping. Last year, first class package service actually dropped for 1 to 3 ounces. There's a little technicality the USPS kind of messed up on. eBay shipping didn't have that cheaper price. Stamps.com did. So we had that kind of feature for about 3 months, which was really nice. And so Stamps is very, we realize that shippers or sellers, shipping rates are a huge issue. So any opportunity we see that you can save, we're going to, focus on that, as well as we put out a ton of content on all the different shipping services, USPS services, and rate increases. In fact, we have if you go to our blog, the Stamps.com blog, we have a free postage rate increase guide. No, you don't have to submit any information. It's a PDF. All you have to do is click on the link and the PDF will pop up. And it kind of goes over every mail class and details where the changes are. So I highly suggest everybody go to that, Stamps.com, blog.stamps.com, and you'll find it. We also do like media mail guides. We have a thing, it's priority mail rate comparison guide that, I know, Jason, I think you've seen it. And
oh, yeah.
Mark from Bubble Fast, that kind of help. We haven't updated it for 2017 yet, but we will. It kind of helps you find the lowest priority mail option. Typically,
those are some really handy tips.
Yeah. Anybody who wants to find that stuff, go to stamps.com/whitepapers or our blog. You'll find it. We need to update some of that stuff for 2017, but yeah, I mean, there's lots of little secrets for people to save out there, and so we're constantly trying to push that stuff.
Yeah, we have that question a lot in our group, about media mail. Well, can I ship this media mail? Can I ship that? And they could go to your website and see that, and that's great. And also for newer sellers, it can be a big learning curve. It can be a little intimidating trying to figure out all the different priorities. And I remember when the regional rate boxes came out, I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
So that can be great for newer sellers too, who are trying to learn.
Oh, regional rate box A is probably the second best. Well, I probably mean the priority mail flat rate padded envelope would be the second.
Oh, yeah, I use that all the time.
Yeah, that's probably the second best secret compared to first class package service. But then regional rate box A would be the third. So if you're shipping anything up to 15 pounds, regional rate box A is a slam dunk for you.
All right, so I want to thank Eric Nash, the rep from Stamps.com, and I want him to take that hat off now. And now I put Eric Nash's skateboarder hat on. We're going to talk to that person for a minute, because let's look back at the art we used for the guest today. Mm-hmm. And tell me, what is this trick called, Eric?
I can't. Oh, that's called an invert or a hand plant. Very, very popular trick in pool skateboarding, or what they call vertical skateboarding. X Games, that's typically ramps, but I'm kind of a back in the 80s type guy, so that was called vert back in the day.
And how old are you, Eric?
I'm 48. This picture was taken about a year and a half back, so I probably was 46 at that time.
Wow, that's impressive.
The one thing I want to impress upon our viewers, our fans, our friends, our family, and I will talk about them more coming up, is I think a lot of people forget to work some fun into their day. And so Eric at 48 is still doing that. Now, I know his wife is not keen on it because he comes home all battered and bruised, but, he's still making time for what he enjoys, and he enjoys skating. And so to see the pictures on his Facebook wall of a 46-year-old man still dropping into pools, that is damn impressive, sir.
That is very impressive. That's awesome.
Yes. That was prior to breaking my ribs.
See what I'm saying?
Now, did you break them skating? Did you break them doing that? Or?
Of course.
Oh, boy.
That's why my wife somewhat hates skateboarding.
Okay.
In fact, at that time, I called her from the hospital, and she would not come pick me up. She told me she had just gotten the kids to bed, and that I was to find my own way home.
Oh boy!
So, and they wouldn't discharge me to I couldn't go home myself. They
wouldn't discharge you to the Uber driver.
Yeah.
Oh no.
But I want everyone to, and like I said, we're talking about this more coming up, but I want everyone to think about doing something fun coming up, and fun could be just taking your dog for a walk in the park. But I think so many of us get so fixated on getting everything done, and those of us that have family and kids, they just forget to every once in a while to stop and smell the roses. I mean, it's an old adage, but it works. All right, but now we're gonna do a little bonus tip action. I'm gonna put Eric on the spot. So we even have a graphic for this. Bonus tip of the week, brought to you by our guest Eric Nash. Now, what I'm about to ask Eric, he has no idea, so this is gonna be putting him on the spot. But I do want to ask his opinion. I found a skateboard, or more technically, a longboard, at a thrift store about 3 months ago. And I think, Eric, I found a really rare one because I can't find this sucker anywhere. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I must preface, so longboards aren't typically my
I know,
my
I know,
realm.
but it's the one thing that I have skate related laying around the house. All right, so it is called the Piranha 42 by Jam.
Let's see the bottom, or that's the bottom right there.
So I got no trucks, no wheels.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that brand, but there are a lot of unique longboard brands. So, and they're very small. A lot of it will depend on the type of wood. If there's like any I didn't see any inlays in there, or in the side. Like looking in the side, is there? Yeah, I can't really see that well, but so longboards are a great option. The typical the big longboard fad got started in the 90s. A company called Sector 9 started doing longboards basically down in San Diego, and they became a huge hit. They have really soft wheels, predominantly all around the beach areas and the boardwalks, and then they kind of Sector 9 took it nationwide. And for years and years, throughout the 90s and into the mid-2000s, they were the only company making longboards. And so what happened was they just dominated the market, and all the other skate companies saw this and started saying, hey, we got to get in on this. And so lots of little smaller companies came up, and that's maybe why I'm not familiar with this particular brand. But they've all come up and they've crafted boards. Almost every single longboard out there is crafted very, very well. They're built. Since they're a little longer, they're more subjective to breaking, and so like snapping in half because of the weight. So they typically make them a little thicker. They use a little bit better wood. They typically are all made in Canada or the U.S., which is a little different now. Most of the smaller boards these days are being made in China or Mexico, and they typically bake their wood to kind of make it a little quicker to produce. And so these boards are typically made in Canada. Most likely it's probably made in Canada, I would bet. So it's going to be using better maple, typically better glue. Well, so it looks good.
Now that you say that, the only place I found it online was this website right here called silverfishlongboarding.com. And so here is the board profiled on this, and it is made of premium grade birch plywood.
Birch?
Yeah.
Wow, that is very unique.
And then there's all the measurements, but dude, I've looked everywhere, pictures, eBay. I cannot find this board sold, anything else. This is the only website. So I think I got a decent little find here because it's not common.
Nice. Did you get that from a thrift store?
Yeah, I got it from Savers for $4.99.
Wow. That's killer.
So, and I will ask you this, and you should probably have an answer on this. The fact that it doesn't have wheels or trucks on it, is that a bad thing or is that an okay thing when I'm trying to sell it?
It depends on the type of buyer. Somebody who's a longboard aficionado who really would probably pay the premium amount, it won't matter at all. So that's a great thing. Typically, the people who want trucks and wheels, they're typically going to be people who just want a cruiser, and they're not going to pay that much for it. So they're just looking for those cheaper deals and looking for something just to go cruise around the sidewalk on or out in the street. So I think typically, as long as it's a good board and good, birch is unique. So I bet you people will be happy with it just being the board itself and not the trucks and wheels. With the small boards, it really doesn't matter. It's kind of the same principle. Trucks, there's many different truck companies and many different wheel companies. And so usually people have a variation of what they like. And some people like, different types of trucks because they turn a little better, or they have a little different image and a little bit tougher reputation, and they kind of want to follow that process or that kind of look. And so trucks and wheels on the smaller boards typically would never matter. It goes by the board. Now, again, if someone's looking for a complete, they typically aren't going to pay as much, and they're going to be happy with the whole collection of the board, of the whole complete.
Hey, Nadine, you got any trucks or wheels laying around?
No, I don't. Well, actually, I do have trucks.
Do you know what we're talking about, Nadine?
I know that it's the bottom.
Yeah, so the trucks are the hardware that hold the wheels that go right.
Yeah, and then the wheels are wheels. Now, I do have lots of trucks and wheels laying around because I have 3 little boys, so... But that's a bit of a different kind, yeah.
But yeah, it'll be easier to ship without trucks and wheels. That's
so they have scooters. They're really into scooters, not skateboards yet. I'm not ready for that yet.
Well, thank you for that little lesson on skateboarding, Eric, and I love that you're still doing it at our advanced age because I'm right behind you, and it makes me feel a little younger just watching you do that. I can never do that, but it's so great to see you still doing it.
Very cool.
Thank you so much. I love doing it. I haven't done it enough recently, but I'm still out there trying to survive and make it out alive.
Cool. Well, I want to thank Eric for being our guest tonight, for both Eric's, Stamps.com Eric and Skateboarding Eric. And, like I said, Eric's always happy to help. You got a skateboarding question, send it over to me. I'll get it to Eric. He's happy to answer and help out because, as you can see, that's his passion. Like me with tikis, it's him with skateboards. And that's it for tonight. So Stamps.com, check it out. If you got any questions, Eric will be happy to answer them. I'll be happy to help you out. Like I said, skateboarding questions. And I'll see you, Nate and I will see you tomorrow morning at noon on the East Coast. Me and my mom will see you at 6 p.m. on the East Coast. And Secret Beach Combers, I'll see you guys at 8 p.m. on the East Coast on Monday.
And next Thursday, we'll see you again on
live guest in studio talking about teddy bears. And there is crazy money in teddy bears. So
very cool.
Thank you, Eric, very much for coming in tonight.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks so much, Jason and Nadine. It was great coming on, and I really enjoyed it.
Thank you very much.
Bye, everybody. See you next
Bye-bye.
week, or see you tomorrow morning.